And is this loud enough?
It's good.
Yeah, it's still, I'm turning up my volume on this end to hear you.
Okay, I think I can speak louder if that helps.
Okay, there you go.
Perfect. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to meeting number 334 at Toronto Liberty Village Speakers. Today's theme is the art of setting goals, which is one of my favorite topics. The reason being, I am a leadership development professional, and in the beginning of my career, I did so many trainings about setting goals. But over years, I learned what setting goals would really mean. All of you would have heard of SMART goals. Raise your hand if you've heard of SMART goals. Okay, I see everyone's raised their hands. Now, SMART goals stands for making goals. S for specific, M for measurable, A for achievable, R
Realistic,
realistic, and T
timely.
time bound, timing. And that is what all of us learned throughout our lives. And then I came across this model called situational leadership. Now, situational leadership, like the name suggests, is where you lead based on the situation of the person you're trying to lead. If the person is absolutely new to the task, they have no clue how to do this, you give them directions. Versus somebody who knows everything, who's very good at doing this. However, they're very nervous. They cannot take accountability. They're scared. You motivate them, you give them support, and then you make them do things by themselves. You start delegating things to them. When I came across this model, it started with setting STRAND goals instead of SMART goals. And the most interesting part of STRAND goals is that the M there stands for motivated. Goals could be specific, could be time-bound, could be realistic, could be achievable, could be everything. But if your goal is not motivating enough, would you really want to work on it? So the art of setting goals for me lies in how motivating is it for the person. Do you want to do it? And when I joined Toastmasters, I was absolutely demotivated. And I'm being very honest. Because when I joined Toastmasters, I was training people on communications. So what could Toastmasters teach me? But more than 10 years later, I'm still standing here at a Toastmasters meeting. Because I gained that motivation through my way. When I started attending these Toastmasters club meetings, I had so many good stories to hear people's experiences, and that gave me sonder. Remaining, please make a note of this word. I use the word sonder. Sonder is the idea that everybody has a story as deep and complex as yours. And Toastmasters gives you that opportunity to hear those deep and complex stories. And those stories changed my life. I went through so many things in my lifetime. Very soon after I had joined Toastmasters, I lost both my grandparents, my maternal grandparents, and that was big for me. Coming back to Toastmasters club meetings gave me the positivity I needed. And that's why I say Toastmasters can be what you want it to be when you need it. Hence, set your goals depending on your situations, making sure that they are motivating enough for you. That is the art of setting goals for me. And with this, we will move to the first section of introducing the tag team of the club today. We will start with the grammarian, who is Ken Weinberg. Ken, over to you.
Oh, hello. I'm Ken Weinberg, and I'm today's grammarian, helping you with English usage, vocabulary, and crutch words. Having a good vocabulary is not nugatory. What's nugatory, you probably ask? Nugatory is the opposite of important and worthwhile. So when you hear the word nugatory, think worthless, think no real value, think futile. For example, bicycling over here today for me from the foot of Bay Street to save energy was nugatory because I had a headwind and a million pedestrians in my way. I'd love for you to try using the word nugatory today when you have an opportunity to speak. Nugatory, just say it yourself, nugatory. Sounds good. Now you know the word nugatory. You have no excuse not to use it. And we need a worthwhile goal to motivate us to use nugatory. So if we use the word nugatory 5 times today, I will applaud you. And the one who uses it the most creatively will get a big applause from me. I know, maybe it's not that motivating, but it's the best I could come up with on short notice. And please don't use, you know, like, so, instead of pausing and thinking about what you're going to say next, because I'm going to fault you for those as well. Be good about English, and you will seem intelligent, even if you don't know what you're talking about. Not a Toastmaster.
We can give a round of applause to Ken for that. Thank you. So that was Ken, the grammarian and the accountant for the day. And these roles are definitely not nugatory. They help us improve our language. And growing up in India, where English is not our primary language, English is not our first language as such, or not our native language, I always wondered what do people in countries where English is their primary language do with a grammarian? But I think I know what they do with a grammarian. Thank you so much, Ken. And with that, we move to the next role taker for the day, the timer, Bruce. Bruce, over to you.
Yep, thank you. For the guests that are in the room, every speech in Toastmasters is timed with a minimum, middle, and maximum time. Hi. Oh, it's waving to the rest. Oh, it's somebody at the door. Okay. With the minimum time, the green background will show up, the middle time, the yellow, and the red will show up at the maximum time. First up speeches are table topics, which are 1 to 2 minutes, green at 1, and keep speaking until you see the green. And then you can start relaxing after you see the green. When you see the yellow, start thinking about wrapping up. And when you see the red, you have a 30-second grace period. We've got a mix of 2 prepared speeches tonight. Mine is 5 to 7 minutes. And for Adrian's icebreaker, it's 4 to 6 minutes at 4, 5, and 6. And I'll report, and the evaluations are 2 to 3 minutes, and I'll report on the times when called upon. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Bruce. And with that, we move to the next section. Now, raise your hand if you've ever experienced nervousness and excitement together. Quite a few of us have. The next section, which is the table topic section, is going to give you that experience, where you experience nervousness and excitement together. And for this, I'm going to call the table topic master, Didi. Didi, over to you.
Thank you so much, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. Impromptu speaking or table topics is where we learn to speak off the cuff. Today, the goal is to speak on a topic associated with the art of goal setting for 1 to 2 minutes. Therefore, you will get the green light at 1 minute, the yellow at 1.5, and the red light at 2 minutes. In your table topic, we anticipate that your table topic will be like a mini speech. So you will give us an introduction, then you will give us a body, and then you make a conclusion, which was basically reinforcing the message you said in your body of your speech. So I will start with giving you a very simple example of what it would be. And that goes like this. So if someone came to me and said, you know, Bibi, what do you like, coffee or tea? I would simply go and say, I love coffee. I love tea for 3 reasons. 3 reasons being, and I will give 3 reasons. I would expand on it, and then I will conclude and reinforce those 3 reasons that I gave. Now, we will start, and I will call upon one of our most senior members to give you an example of table topics, and it's all related to the art of goal setting. So today, Rita has volunteered graciously to be my goal setter, and she will tell me, and her question will be, Rita, can you please talk about an event that you achieved and how you went about setting that goal? Can you please talk about an event or whatever that you have achieved that has made an impact on you, and talk about how you went about setting that goal and achieving that goal? The floor is yours, 1 to 2 minutes.
Madam Table Topic Leader, fellow Toastmasters, and to our guests. That is quite an interesting question that you've asked me to speak about. Now, as you're aware, I have been a Toastmaster for longer than Methuselah has been on this earth. That means I've been a Toastmaster for a long time. You may ask me, well, if you've been a Toastmaster for so long, why on earth do you keep coming back? First of all, I come back because I enjoy the fellowship immensely. Secondly, I learned something at absolutely every meeting. And in the third instance, it's a lot of fun. But something that I have achieved, Madam Table Topic Leader, is when I joined the Toastmaster, I had set a personal goal of being able to walk into a meeting without having prepared and present a speech. And it took me about 7 years in before I was able to do that. But at the back of my mind, I had a number of speeches that I felt I wanted to present. And then I got hooked on CNN. I never watched TV before, but I saw someone that I liked, someone that I knew being interviewed on CNN. And I started watching CNN. I was having it for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. I was addicted to CNN. And so one night at the club I belonged to, we were asked, there were no speakers. And I volunteered to present my speech. And I was able to pull that out of my back pocket and to talk about my addiction to CNN. And so I fully understand the importance of setting goals. And that was one of my goals. And I was able to achieve and to accomplish it. Madam Table Topic Leader, the floor is yours.
So much, Rita, for sharing your addiction with CNN. However, I would not call it an addiction. It's like me calling my love of reading is an addiction. Okay, now I'm going to ask a member of the audience in person who would like to volunteer to be a table topic, to answer to a table topic. Is there any guest willing to do so? I see there's 2 desks there, and oh yes, the lovely gentleman in blue. Come on up, sir. I promise you that it will be quite exciting.
Which one? Oh, what is new guitar? It means worthless. Naturally. Yeah, hi, hello everyone.
Thank you so much. And can you please talk about the most exciting event that you have celebrated and how you planned for it? or how you set a goal to that, the most exciting event that you have celebrated that you set a goal to achieve?
Yeah, so quite an interesting question there. When it comes to an exciting event that I've celebrated would be my own festival, Diwali, that's the festival of lights that I'm still in touch with, and it's never an experience that was new for me, being in Canada as permanent resident and away from my home. So it's always been nice to catch up with close family members and make it celebrate the festival in the best of spirits. People coming together, having sweets, delicacies, enjoying the spirit of the festival and spreading love amongst the communities. That's what it's all about. And also not only with this crossing the barriers, it's been also interesting to bring in people across geographical boundaries to come and participate in this festival. The traditions that have evolved, that's beginning, have been unitary in terms of how they are celebrated and how people come forward, to actually relish the traditions and all the things, the stigma that is associated with the festival. And at the same time, I feel being in a country that's diverse, it's always been multi-spirited to come forward and in a multi-faceted community and to involve people to come and basically know more about the Indian culture. So this festival of lights, that's the festival that involves the traditions, the prayers that we devote to the deity, and also in an effort that nothing goes military when it comes to recollecting the past memories and also motivating what the festival really stands for, what is the significance of it. So here we are, and I'm always that's been a special event. It has been, it is, and it will be a special event. Thank you.
Thank you so much for attempting our table topics. Thanks a whole lot. And now I'm going to ask Ken. Ken, would you be willing to participate in table topics today?
Right.
Thank you, Ken. Sorry to call you on the spot, but here is your table topic. It's about goal setting. What is something you really enjoy doing that is a chore or a bore for many people? What is something you really enjoy doing that is a chore or a bore for many people?
I'm of the opinion that life is better when things are organized and in their right place. Call it an obsession, a compulsion, a sickness. But when I have time on my side, I sort my cookbooks by size, I put my records in alphabetical order, and I try to find pieces of paper that I've only written on one side and I turn them over and use the other side for no particular reason. I don't think everybody cares about that. I think some people might use one side of a piece of paper and throw it in the basket. To me, a piece of paper that's only written on one side, it's not nugatory. It's only half used. Record albums that are out of order, it's so difficult to find the one you want when you want to hear a particular song. And cookbooks by size, well, that just makes so much sense because the little book that is hiding between the two big books, that happens to be the one that you're going to need when you look in your refrigerator and you find that piece of dried up. Give me an example of something that you find in your refrigerator dried up and you want to cook with it. Corn, and you need a recipe right away. Where's that corn cookbook? I know it's in here somewhere. So please try my obsession to see if it's right for you. Write on both sides of a piece of paper. Put those cookbooks in order of size and alphabetize your record albums. Time is not arbitrary, it's valuable. Don't waste it. Organize your life. Meditative thought.
Thank you so much, Ken. Thank you so much for taking on that challenging question. And now I'm gonna ask someone online. Marisol, would you like to take part in our table topics today as a guest?
Sure.
Okay. Here is your question for you. What is one event in the future whose outcome you would really like to know now? What is one event in the future whose outcome you would really like to know now?
Thank you, Vivi, for letting me participate. So, as well, not everyone knows here, but I am now in Latin America, in my home country. So I would say that an event that I would like in the future that I would like to know now is whether or not I would be able to come back specifically to Toronto. I am applying for full-time jobs from my home country, and I'm applying to everywhere in Canada. So I might not be able to come back specifically to Toronto. It will depend on my future employer. So that would be something I would like to know now in terms of the future. I already lived for 2.5 years in Toronto. I met amazing people. There was a lot of diversity, cultural events, on top of the great institution and the great learning I received in this city. So yeah, all I can say is that I'm really grateful for everything I learned, the beautiful people I met in this city, and I would really like to come back to this city, right? And so yeah, that is something that I would like to know now. Unfortunately, I cannot know, but yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Marisol. Mr. Timer, do I have any more time for another participant? No? Well, thank you so much, Mr. Timer. I just want to let everyone know that goal setting is not something you would associate with the word nugatory. Definitely not, because it is important. It's important in all our life. And that said, we had 3 speakers, I think, today. Rita. We had 4 speakers. Rita, the gentleman in the blue, then we had Ken and Marisol. Bruce, are you going to do the Google form for everybody to vote for the best speaker?
It's not a Google form, but it is a link to a survey. It's already posted in chat.
Okay, can everyone do the link and send that off, and Bruce will get the results, and at the end of the meeting, we'll announce the winner for bragging rights. And with that, I'd like to hand it over back to Madam Toastmasters. It's all yours, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lily. And I have also passed small chits of white paper for everyone in the room to put their votes on this chit and pass it to me so that I can count the votes in the room and send it to you. All right. There's a lot of celebration happening right here. Those of you who are online are missing this. There are people with flags walking across the street, and there's a lot of music and noise that is here in the room. Let's consider that nugatory for us and go ahead with our meeting. Now, the next section is prepared speeches. Everybody who is a member of Toastmasters has an opportunity to prepare a speech. They get a curriculum, they have a mentor, they prepare their speeches, they come here and present their speeches. The first speaker for the day is a very interesting person, because once somebody met him and I heard him introduce himself as, I'm very famous in District 60. And trust me, this person wasn't lying. Because he is very famous in District 60. A lot of people who've been members of this district for some time would know him by his name. He's one of the most hilarious persons I've had one-on-one conversations with. But before we get to his speech and his speech title, I would request the speech evaluator, Bibi, to share with us the objectives of the speech. Bibi, over to you.
Thank you so much, Madam Toastmaster. Today, Bruce will be presenting a speech from level 4 of the PAT team collaboration. And the project is about motivating others. The purpose of his speech or this project is for the member to practice the skills needed to motivate team members through the completion of a project. The purpose of this speech is also for the member to share some aspect of his experience motivating team members through the completion of a project. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Bibi. With that, let's introduce the first speaker for the day. The first speaker for the day is Bruce, whose speech title is Motivation Temptation. Bruce, Motivation Temptation, over to you, Bruce.
Fellow Toastmaster friends and guests, this project states to build a team to complete a project. In my opinion, this project has been around for a few years. I'm going outside the box on this one, basing it on the current team that exists, which is our club executive that has 3 officers fulfilling 7 roles. Think about that for a second. Plus we have Yukta as our club coach. At our last meeting, we celebrated diversity. My team for this project consists of Elton, an American, Bibi from Guyana, and Yukta from India. Me? First-generation Canadian from Scottish parents. The diversity in Toastmasters is immense. I embraced, or I should know because I have visited clubs in 61 countries. I embraced the pandemic in the sense that it opened up the world and brought the word international into the organization's name. The project calls to practice the skills needed to motivate the team members through completion. We're not there yet, not even close, as we need to increase membership. Building it back up again will relax us members that take on multiple roles, like tonight, in meetings, as there will be more of us to share the meeting roles. That's a goal the team wants. The club executive have been meeting monthly, to which myself, Bibi, and Elton have been a part of. We've known the situation, the need to increase membership, and we've been trying our best. When the prospect of Yukta came on board as our club coach, we thought, it can't hurt, let's hear what her thoughts are. The 4 of us, sometimes 3, have held meetings with Yukta that have been very productive. We brainstormed ideas that got thrown around, but it also involved getting to know the club better, hearing the history. Requesting a 360 evaluation from my fellow club executive, plus 1 club member is mentioned in the project details. As being optional, I'll pass. 1 less task for our already overworked executive team not to be bothered with. 1 member of the team that is, how do I say this, incredible, is Elton, the public relations king of the club. He is doing everything he can to get word out about the club by posting on several social media platforms. Facebook in several groups, not once, but twice for every meeting, plus Meetup and Eventbrite. There's the initial notice, and then there's the reminder. Let's not forget the press releases. As you know, we're located in Liberty Village. Elton also posts in a community group here, but we're limited to once a month. So he covers the 2 meetings for the month in the 1 post. Has it helped? Has it been successful? A little here and there by way of guests actually attending, and a little more this past June by way of 2 new members avoiding the club going into suspension mode. Thank you, Michelle and Adrian. Michelle is away today. We've been on hold about posting a video for Google Maps because they don't allow any people in the video. Have they seen this neighborhood? If one actually gets done, I hope there's a light on the camera, as it may have to be done at 4 o'clock in the morning. After the pandemic was over, Toastmasters started getting itchy. And no, not from testing positive with COVID, but rather to get back to in-person meetings because they were contracting Zoom fatigue. The urge to being at an in-person meeting again with fellow Toastmasters was there, like it used to be in the good old days. However, some people got used to Zoom and are more comfortable with it. I'm a prime example. Plus my location in St. Catharines doesn't help. Bibi's in Halifax, so she welcomes the online aspect. This club was the second club in District 60, the bottom 2/3 of Toronto, to go to a hybrid format with both in-person and online audiences. Some people are craving to get back to in-person. Okay, that's great, but where are they? Our club meetings are always full, showcasing the 3 main parts of having a prepared speaker, having a verbal evaluation done for that speaker, and hosting table topics, the impromptu 1 to 2 minute speeches that guests are welcome to participate in. We're doing everything right, we think. I belong to 4 clubs in total, with my home club being my mainstay since I joined Toastmasters in November 2006. We're an online-only club because of our members' locations. Same with my advanced club. I have done a lot of motivating with those 2 clubs. This has included messages to members about what possible path project they should work on to either complete a path level or get them 1 step closer to their goal, which they set. Example, when the call went out from Elton for some meeting themes, one was stated as being about impromptu speaking. This came from Michelle. I had suggested that it would be great if a member was working on the engaging humor path, because in level 4, the one required project is titled The Power of Humor in an Impromptu Speech. Perfect, right? I scrolled through our members' paths and saw that Bibi is working on this path and hasn't done this project as of yet. Trust me, she'll be speaking at this eventual meeting with the impromptu speech theme. By the way, I did reach out to her to suggest it, and she has agreed. Thank you, Bibi. Motivating others is a 2-way street. If the motivator is engaged and excited, how can the rest of the team not be the same way? As club president this year, I obviously want this club to succeed by getting back on track and building this club back up to where it once was. Just last week on Wednesday morning, a couple of hours before my advanced club meeting, there was a phone call chat with Yukta about me getting involved with something that would tick off another box on my journey towards becoming a DTM. Ironically, that club's meeting theme, where I was the Toastmaster, was titled The Art of Motivation. I even mentioned this speech in my theme discussion. My team of Bibi, Elton, and Yukta are trying our best, and we're all motivated for this to work. The 4 of us can't do it alone, though. We need your help. Get tempted to motivate yourself and others. Are you with us? Back to you, Yukta.
Thank you, Bruce, for that fabulous speech and for motivating us. Are we motivated?
Sure we are.
Yes, the room said yes. Online, I see people are motivated. Thank you so much for doing this. With that, we move to the second speaker for this evening. Now, before we go to the second speaker and I introduce this person, may I request the speech evaluator, Elton, to share with us the objectives of the second speech.
we are going to have an icebreaker. And an icebreaker speech is a way for an individual to do two things. One, to stand in front of an audience, and two, to tell us a little something about themselves so that we get to know them better. That's the objective. Stand here, talk, tell us something about yourself. If you do those two things, then you have met the objective. And I'm sure we're not going to have a problem with that this evening. Shall I go ahead and introduce? Yeah. All right, so this is the introduction. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce tonight's speaker, Adrian Cartelli. Adrian is currently advancing through the Engaging Humor path at level 1 in the Toastmasters Pathways program. Since joining our club in 2024, he has eagerly embraced various roles within our meetings, showcasing his dedication and enthusiasm. This evening, Adrian will share a deeply personal journey with his speech titled My Life Story with Social Anxiety. This topic offers us a unique glimpse into his life, allowing us to better understand the challenges he has faced and the resilience he embodies. Please join me in warmly welcoming Adrian Cartelli as he presents My Life Story with Social Anxiety.
Let me stand up for this. Thank you, Elton. I remember a time when I was going to get the Computer Science Award. I was in high school and we were in the audience, all my classmates, and they called my name to get the award. And I was so nervous. I felt this immense anxiety. So I turned to my friend Bob and I said, Bob, can you go get the award for me? And he said to me, no way, man. And so I had to muster up the courage to get up on the stage to get the award. But deep down, I was so anxious. I hated going up on the stage. I was scared. I was shaking. I was so nervous. And so this is the story about how I got better with my social anxiety. So when I got to university, I joined Toastmasters. It gave me an opportunity to put down the public speaking books and actually practice. The books weren't working. I wasn't learning, and I definitely wasn't practicing. Toastmasters taught me a very important lesson that I needed to practice. If I wanted to get better at public speaking, practice. And that's my first key point. Practice makes perfect. After university, all the social anxiety came back. I felt this immense anxiety to find a job. And then when I found a job, it was one of those jobs in an open office space. And it was very, very social. And every day I felt anxious. And so I hated the open office space. So I decided to apply to over 100 remote jobs. And I finally found a job that I could work from home. No one would bother me. And I felt better again. I felt actually socially deprived. I wanted to go outside and socialize. So that's my second key point. Sometimes you have to change your surroundings. When I realized that I felt anxious every day, I realized that something was wrong. So I changed my surroundings. Recently, 5 years later, I was asked to, I still have social anxiety, and I was asked to give a wedding speech. I was asked to be the best man. Great, isn't it? Not for me. I don't like public speaking. So I told him I might do it. And at the dinner where we were giving this, where everyone was giving a speech, meanwhile, I was downing 4 glasses of wine. And I finally got the courage to give the speech. And I went up there and I said it word for word. I just read it from what I wrote. And after the speech, some Joe came up to me and said, "You sounded like Donald Trump." And I was like, that's probably not a compliment. Maybe it was because I read the speech word for word. But anyway, I decided to join Toastmasters again in 2024. And the reason being is that I want to persevere. I don't want my social anxiety to defeat me. So through joining Toastmasters, changing my surroundings, and to keep persevering, my social anxiety is better than ever. I want to leave you with this. Don't give up. Practice makes perfect. And if I can do it, so can you. Thank you.
Thanks everyone who drink rice and given applause because this was the first icebreaker speech by you. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Adrian. One beautiful thing about Toastmasters community is that every time somebody shares their own story for the first time, which we call an icebreaker, everybody who has the opportunity to listen to that story stands up and gives a standing ovation to the speaker. More than that, I think you absolutely deserve it, Adrian, because I still remember our first conversation. Adrian had reached out to us after we posted social media advertisements for District 60. And he shared a story and he said he's looking for a club that he can join. Preferably something that gives him an opportunity to be online when he wants to and maybe in person when he is ready for it. And this was the club that he came to the same evening and he's been with us since then. Congratulations, Adrian, on doing your first icebreaker. And with that, we are ready to move to the last section of this evening, which is evaluations, one of the most important sections in Toastmasters. To begin these evaluations, I'm going to invite the grammarian and the art counter for the evening. No, I should first go to the evaluators. I will first go to the first evaluator, Bruce's speech evaluator, BB, to share her feedback for Bruce's speech. BB, over to you.
They forgot to introduce
No,
the general evaluator, who is Rita. Rita's the GE.
Oh, sorry, I didn't have this on the agenda. Okay, here, sorry. Before we go to BB, let me introduce the general evaluator for the evening, Rita, to take the evaluation section forward. Rita, over to you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Now, as Toastmasters and for our guests, we know that in order to reach our goals as individuals and as a collective, it's imperative that we do two things, that we give feedback and we receive feedback. Tonight, as a general evaluator, it's my responsibility to shepherd that feedback segment, which, as you can see on the agenda, it's called the evaluation portion. As we all know, groups work effectively when they work as a team. And so there will be a number of people who will be supporting me in my role as the general evaluator. When they're finished with their reports, I will then sum up my perspective of the meeting. And so my first person who is going to be supporting me will be Bibi, who is going to be offering feedback to Bruce on his speech. Bibi, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests, and especially you, Bruce. Today's Bruce objective was basically how he used skills to motivate others. And motivating others is not something, as I would say again, that we can associate with the word nugatory. It is very important and it calls for a lot of skills, it calls for a lot of focus, and it calls for a lot of commitment. So today I'm going to evaluate Bruce's speech in 3 categories: on his content, his delivery, and his message. For his content and structure, let's look at this content and the structure. So today Bruce spoke about his motivating others in this club's executive committee. He spoke about motivating others in his other club meeting. He spoke about motivating members through pathway, and he also touched on trying to motivate others to increase membership. How did he go about doing this motivation? He gave us it in such a manner that we can follow. But basically, in one gift I would like to offer Bruce in this manner is that I felt that he touched on too much. If he could have just reduced it to focus on 2 or maybe just 3, but it focused on too much, so it was a lot of information to absorb. Now let's talk about his delivery. How did he deliver his speech? Well, he did an excellent delivery in his speech. He used pausing effectively, he used hand gestures effectively, and he used the camera back and forth to the camera, and he also injected humor. So he had some great points in his delivery that I must say. The one thing I would like to give him as a gift with respect to his delivery is ask Bruce, perhaps in future, Bruce, you could stand up and that way use a mind map to help you deliver your speech rather than using your mouse to help you as with your points that you need to speak on. That's using a mind map is very good, and we won't see the actions where you're trying to use your mouse. Lastly, I like to talk about his message. In your opinion, what is the message Bruce was giving us? Because every speech is supposed to have a message. In my opinion, his message was supposed to be how to motivate others. And he did touch about that in pathways of reaching out to others to get them to complete their path. In the end, he also concluded with reaching out to each one of us and asking us to assist in increasing the membership of the club because that is important. In summarizing, in his structure, he had an effective structure. My gift to him was I found it was too much. He should have focused on 2 points mainly. His delivery was good. My gift was to perhaps stand out and perhaps use mind maps so people wouldn't see him using his mouse. And the structure, the message, lastly, was quite effective. And with that, I'd like to hand it over back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Bibi. That was thorough, it was succinct, and it was productive because you offered the speaker, you offered Bruce areas that he could work on to improve his future speeches. Thank you so very much. Now, Elton, I call on you to offer your feedback to Adrienne, who did his icebreaker this evening. Elton, the floor is yours.
Oh.
Please. You're good. Every time I hear a icebreaker, it reminds me of spring, the beginning of something, so much promise. And I think we all have an opportunity to experience that with Adrian's presentation this evening. I found Adrian's presentation to be heartfelt and definitely authentic. He went right into his story, and as he was progressing through his story, he injected soft humor, which allowed the presentation not to fall into a dark place, but it more or less kept it elevated so that each of us could follow it enjoyably. I enjoyed his gestures. We could actually see them because his hands were up above the video line. So we could actually see them. So that was great. Oh, by the way, if you look at his last name, you can tell that he's Italian. So he's a natural, right? Italians really do use their hands. And he actually smiled a couple of times during the, which made it more personal, allowed us to be drawn in. I just wonder, the next speech, Adrian, if you can, I don't know, maybe, when you rocking back and forth, could that possibly be considered a distraction? I don't know. But other than that, I enjoyed the presentation. You definitely met the objectives, which I said were two, which is to stand in front of the audience. And then number two was to tell us something about you. And your story was heartfelt, and I found it to be extremely inspiring. So thank you very much, and I'm really looking forward to your next speech.
Thank you, Elton, for offering Adrian that feedback. I'm sure it will warm his heart, and he knows what to work on for his next speech. That certainly was not a nugatory evaluation. I appreciate that. Ken, it is your turn to please give us your report on how we did in terms of our language usage. Ken, the floor is yours.
Rita? Wouldn't be much of a grammarian if I didn't dip into the Latin language and how we use Latin rhetorical devices tonight. So I'm going to mention a few of those. But before I do, I want to congratulate everyone for digging deep and finding a use of the word bigotry. Thanks to Gupta, Phoebe, Rita, and me, we exceeded our goal today of using it 5 times, and I hope it was in handy for you. And you want to describe something that's worthless, you've got a word for it. So, digging deep into rhetorical devices and all the interesting language that came out today, I heard Rita refer to being involved with Toastmasters as long as Methuselah is on the ground. Did you know that Methuselah was 960 years old before he expired? That's an example of hyperbole. And Elton, you said it was your distinct pleasure. Now, I don't think this is so much Latin, but if it's your distinct pleasure, then you've never had a pleasure quite like this before. Distinct means it is distinct or is distinguished as being different from everything else. So you can use the word distinct, but make sure you're using it properly.
Yeah.
I also heard Adrian today. He used the word by rote, I think you were saying, learning by repetition. And It's interesting that the expression, he did it by rote, is actually an idiom for he did it from memory. That's not actually what rote means. Rote means doing it mechanically and methodically, as in repetition. So try to use the word rote well, or if you're using it to mean from memory, at least understand what you're using. And Phoebe, I'm going to end with you. You, in your evaluation, used anaphora or anaphora when you said he spoke and he spoke and he spoke. That is starting multiple sentences with the same expression to drive home a point using that particular rhythm. By the way, if you were fortunate enough to watch any of the speeches at the Democratic National Convention, you would have heard some excellent literary devices in use and rhetorical devices. So even if you don't believe in politics, just watch it for the speech giving. I didn't hear that many crutch words, so congratulations, everyone. And back to our general evaluation.
Thank you, Ken, for your detailed feedback on how we did this evening. Mr. Timer, if you could please show the green background at 1 minute, the yellow at 2, and the red at 3 minutes. I'm going to be offering my feedback on the overall meeting this evening. Now, I plan to use 3 pillars to hang my perspective of tonight's meetings. And they are what I learned, what inspired me, and perhaps areas that we could work on to make our meeting flow a little smoother. First of all, what did I learn? I learned that if we are not motivated, then our SMART goals go out of the window. So we need to be motivated for them to work. I learned that BB loves reading. I learned a new word, nugatory. I'd never heard it before, Ken, so thank you for introducing me to that. And perhaps I will begin to use it now in my everyday conversation. And I learned about the Festival of Lights, a little bit about the Festival of Lights. Now, what was I inspired by during this meeting this evening? First of all, I was really inspired by the fact that people were eager and motivated to participate in table topics. Now, as we know, table topics is the part of the meeting where if you don't have a prepared speech, it's an opportunity to stand and present. That's why we come to Toastmasters, so we have an opportunity to speak and grow our confidence. And people seemed rather motivated to participate. I was inspired by the fact that the Toastmaster, Yuka, projected confidence when she opened the meeting and explained her theme. I was inspired by the fact that Bruce's speech when he spoke about the status and the goals for the club. And I was inspired by the quality of the evaluations. Kudos to the evaluators as well. Now, my next pillar is areas that we could work on to make our meeting a little bit better. There was a bit of a roll call at the beginning, and I wasn't sure what was going on. I'm sure there was a positive rationale behind that, but I'm not sure that I fully understood. So maybe let's be mindful of that. The other thing is, I would like to see us applauding a little bit more. Remember that as Toastmasters, we are each other's cheerleaders. And yes, we can wave, but let's do it a little bit more enthusiastically. When a person is introduced, we wave or clap for them. When they're done, we wave or clap for them. As I said, we're each other's cheerleaders. That's how we do well and we improve in Toastmasters. And lastly, one area that perhaps I am not sure that I saw the word of the day in written form. Remember that as the human beings, we need to see things in both writing and we hear it for us to understand. Because it was a new word, for many of us, I feel certain, perhaps it would have been helpful to have had it in the chat. Apart from that, a wonderful, flawless, productive, effective meeting. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Rita. Can we all give a round of applause to everybody who spoke today? Remember, the action of clapping fills you with positivity. So it's good for everybody else who you're clapping for, but it's also good for you. And with that, we come towards the end of today's meeting. Is there any announcement that the club officers would like to make at this moment? Bruce, over to you.
The GE forgot to ask for the timers report. She realizes it now. So I'll go through that right now. I'll just go in order of what the speakers were. Table topics, Rita came in at 2 minutes and 12 seconds. Ragav, 2:03, Ken, 2:08, and Marisol, I think it was 1:30 something. I accidentally erased it before adding it to my sheet. So you were definitely under 2 minutes. The formal speakers, myself, every speech I seem to ad lib, and it always adds into my things. So I did go 5 seconds, well, 4 seconds over. A lot more room to tell us about himself at 4 minutes and 27 seconds. The evaluators, BB for myself, 3:49, a little bit over, well, 19 seconds over. Elton for Adrian made up for BB's overage at 2 minutes and 33 seconds. And Rita's GE came in at 3 minutes and 6 seconds. Ken's combination of grammarian and odd counter came in at 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And that is it for the
Thank you so much, Bruce. Now, with that, we come towards the end of today's meeting. Is there any announcement that any club officer wants to make?
Yeah.
I see Elton's hand up. Elton?
I just want to invite everyone to our next meeting. And the theme of our meeting is going to be mastering the art of effective communication. So I'm inviting everyone, bring your friends, your parents, people off the streets. We don't care where they come from, just bring them here so that they have an opportunity to enjoy greatness. Exactly.
And Yukta,
Bruce, over to you.
wasn't somebody supposed to message me the results of the in-person voting? Or did it go through?
Can I just tell him?
No.
Okay, Elton should be able to type it in, and in
Okay.
the meantime, I go to the guests to hear what they felt about today's meeting. Should we start with the in-person? To be member, still a guest? Kate? Kate is going to join the club, but as of today, she is a member, she is still a guest. How do you feel about it?
How did I feel? It was good, it was so clear, and I really enjoyed the grammar thing and the word of today. I've never, I think I've never had a chance to face this word. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Kate. May I also request Marisol to share her thoughts about the meeting today? Marisol, over to you.
Thank you. Well, I'm not sure whether I am. I mean, I'm a repeated guest, but yeah. So I always say I am very grateful to be part of or to join Toastmaster. I'm gonna formally join very soon. And yeah, it's a very enriching opportunity. As I already mentioned the previous time, this is certainly a safe place to really practice. And as Adrian mentioned, yeah, this is the right place to practice so that we can improve our public speaking skills and overcome that nervousness and all these and social anxieties that I think all have in one way or another. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Marisol. And do we have the table topics winner's name?
Yes, we do have the table topics winner. If we can get a big drum roll, everyone. The table topics winner today by you folks is no other than Ken. Ken is the winner today.
Could we have you here for a moment, please?
Oh, sure.
And can somebody take a picture of this entire thing?
Yeah, sure.
Is that
Oh,
okay?
thank you, thank you. Yes. This should be part of it.
Thank you. Congratulations again, Ken. And with that, we come to the end of today's meeting. I think this was fabulous, the art of setting goals. Looking forward to the next meeting. This club teaches me so much. And it's obvious, a club that has so many DTX and experienced Toastmasters, you have to leave with a lot of learning nuggets and things that are going to change your life. Thank you so much to each and every one of you who contributes to making these meetings so fabulous. Thank you, everyone, and see you in 2 weeks.
See you.